Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Broadway's Calling. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Broadway's Calling. I'm Lance Roberts, and this is a show where your favorite Broadway stars share the moment that they got the call to be on Broadway for the first time. Man, it only happens once, and we're here to get that story. Now, during Black History Month, we celebrated Broadway's African-American performers who have appeared on Broadway's Calling. And in a fun twist, our tech producer, Julie Garnier, and our segment producer for Broadway Bites, Andrea Boyer, they took over and I became the interviewee. It was wild. I mean, we had a lot of laughs. There were even a couple of tears. And I got to tell where I was when I got the call to be on Broadway. And that call was from our very own Paul Reubens for the show Pee-wee Herman on Broadway. Oh my goodness. Well, I got to play the king of cartoons, Globey, and many others, as all the actors in the show played a lot of different characters. Well, that was 10 years ago, you guys. It's been an entire decade. And you'll never believe that one-man show with Pee-wee Herman had 10 actors, 8 puppeteers, and 1 understudy. It actually was a huge production. Well, if there are any fans out there, I would love to know if you know just how many of those of us who were in the show were making our Broadway debut. I think you'll be a little surprised at the number. Just leave that number in the chat. And if you're new to our show, welcome. I know there are tons of people who are Pee-wee fans. Welcome here. We're so glad to see you. You know, if I got to meet you at the stage or something, I say hello again. I know we have people all the way from Germany who are watching, and Japan and Australia. But if you're new to the channel, we would love for you to either go to youtube.com and subscribe to our channel, and then you can leave your answer in the chat. And click the bell if you want to be reminded of any other fun, and you know what I mean by fun, people who are going to be on the show. Now, the Pee-wee Herman on Broadway show was a limited Broadway engagement, but it was taped for HBO. So you probably know that already. And so you can always see the show, even though we were only there for, I think 10 weeks. Well, it's been fantastic because at HBO, it debuted 10 years ago this month. And we are happy to celebrate with the man behind the bow tie and infectious laugh, Paul Reubens. Now, he's going to drop by today and he's going to share his journey from the Midnight Groundlings show to the first HBO version of the show to the iconic Saturday morning show where we would scream at our television, and now back to the HBO Max presentation. And I'll take a few questions from you guys in the chat. And so like I said, you know, you subscribe and you click that bell on the YouTube channel. And then I'll make sure that I'll try and catch them and get as many of them as I can on air. But no, celebration is a fun celebration without surprises. So make sure you stick around and see who's gonna drop by, because this is gonna be the Playhouse today. The Pee-wee Herman on Broadway show is taking over Broadway's Calling. So I know that you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna take you back when you were in your rooms watching the Pee-wee Herman show alone on Saturday mornings, or if you were in college during those years, you were probably watching your dorm room in a whole nother state, because I heard about how people in college were watching the show. And that's cool because it was the day glow 80s, y'all. And now you're no longer going to be alone, because now we're all together and you are all Puppet Land citizens. So now we can enjoy the show together. Well, Clocky says it's time for the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Broadway's Calling Paul Reubens.
Hello.
Hello. Hey there. How are you, Paul?
I'm great. How are you, Lev?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to be the king again.
Wow, that was so cool to see the beginning of the show. I remember the pledge, but
Oh my goodness.
wow.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, the reveal of the Playhouse, it's still so phenomenal. You had those great artists working. Alex Timbers was the director, and I think it was Daniel Brody or someone like I remember that name, who was a projectionist who sort of animated the set, and it was just so fantastic. And I see in the comments that people, they're reliving when, you used to come to the door every Saturday morning. So it's fun to see all the people comment. I mean, what does that feel like every time you see, Pee-wee come to the door and does it take you back to when you first started the show?
I just relived the feeling I had every night when we were on Broadway. You were right. 10 weeks. 10 weeks is the minimum, the shortest run you can have and still pay the investors back.
Yeah.
In the situation that we were in. And I just went through the exact same feeling I had every single night. This sounds so corny, but this is not made up at all. I would be backstage after going back through the curtain after the pledge and an show. I would go back and I would get ready to come back on to come to the door. And when the set got revealed, I would get so emotional every single night because I could literally feel the air get sucked off the stage when people were like, when everyone in the audience gasped at the same time. I would get so emotional. I would literally, I'm not making this up. I would literally every single night feel like, oh my God, I'm going to burst into tears. I'm not going to do it. And then I would run out and do it. But, but I would still, and it just happened now when I watched it. I just had that same feeling of oh my God, wow, it was so amazing and so rewarding. And just for anybody who doesn't know this, we had already done the show in Los Angeles.
Right.
And so then we came to New York after that.
And it was just as exciting out in Los Angeles because, the show started, it was just going to be this, fun concert over at the Henry Fonda, but then you sold out so quickly and they were like, we got to move it to a larger venue. So we ended up moving downtown to the Nokia, and then you expanded the show. And that's how I ended up into the show, because you added characters and made it big. And then it became basically a Broadway show. And I mean, that was just so exciting. But we're going to talk a lot about the Pee-wee Herman show. But right now, it's just you're doing some new fantastic things now. It's
I am?
There I was. Yeah, well, yes, you are. right this very second. But I turned on my television and there you were on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was so fun.
And not only were you so good on the show, you won, but you won $52,000 for Feeding America.
55.
Oh, pardon me, $55,000 for Feeding America, which, I mean, it's so exciting because now we've been raising money for the Actors Fund, because we had Brian Stokes Mitchell and Wayne Brady, and they were they wanted to collect for the Actors Fund. And so what I wanted to do, because you had already started raising money, was here on this show, we'll do the same thing. We can raise money. We can add to that, in the name of Broadway's Calling and Paul Reubens. So anyone out there, if you want to donate money, we'll gladly take the donations and you can pay through the PayPal or the Venmo. And, what we'll do is that we'll send the money over to Feeding America. But as an extra incentive, what I've been doing is I've been adding little things. So if you give us more than $25, we will send you one of our Broadway's Calling. I think I have one on here. Oh, there it is. There's a picture of it. The Broadway's Calling enamel pen, and you'll get the beautiful writing implement as well. We will send that to anyone who donates $25 or more, and then we can send all of the profits to Feeding America. So it would be fantastic. And there's the logo. Oh, great, we found that. So we hope you do that. So Venmo, PayPal. If you don't have those, I'm sure you can just send it straight to feedingamerica.org, because they are. I found out from Paul that they're like the number 2 largest charity in America.
Yeah, they're a fantastic charity. They are rated very, very highly, and part of that is because so much of the money that you donate goes directly into what the work they're doing. So yeah, it's a great charity and such a great time right now to be feeding people in America.
They last year. They what did they say? $1 will buy 10 meals. Now, I don't know where they're shopping, but they need to tell me where that is, because that's amazing. But they fed 40 million people last year, which was, so I hope that, in the name of Broadway's Calling and Paul Reubens, that we can send over, a couple $100 or whatever we get from all the fans out there. So I would be very excited. So I just wanted to talk about that, because I knew that Paul had been doing things recently with the charity and the Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. So I wanted to bring
Lance, speaking of Broadway's Calling, when you get the phone call, do you want to be on Wheel of Fortune? You say no, you can't. I just was like, wait, is this a joke?
Right.
So
I love it. Wait, did you meet Vanna White?
Did I meet Vanna White? Listen, I spun the wheel. The first time I spun the wheel, I was looking at it practically hypnotized, going oh, it's the real wheel. It's right in front of me. I just spun it. It's spinning around. I looked up, and 40 feet in front, directly in front of me, was Vanna White standing next to the thing with all the letters.
Yeah.
And about 3 feet to my right was Pat Sajak. It was just unreal. I couldn't.
Oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so good. Well, thank you so much for going on to this show and for your generosity in coming on to this show. We have a little treat, because I know everyone wants to see the most beautiful woman in Puppet Land.
Oh.
Oh man, well, it was so great that you brought the original Missy Vaughan to Broadway with you, because many people will remember that Lynn Stewart was on the original television show, and she sent a little message to us.
Hi, Pee-wee. Hi, boys and girls. Hi, King of Cartoons. Oh, hi, everybody. It's Missy Vaughan. Thank you, Lance. Thank you for having me. And Paul, thanks for Broadway. It was a thrill of a lifetime. The first time I saw the Pee-wee Playhouse set on a Broadway stage, I wept and I lost my breath and I got goosebumps, the whole 9 yards. So thank you from a LA City College theater arts major dream. And Lance, oh Lance, I think I've told you this many, many times, that John Moody and I used to run to the monitor backstage and watch your performance every single night. We'd watch you enter and do your kingly turn. You were truly a magnificent, benevolent king, and I bow to you. And Paul, you're a comic genius, and I love you very much, you too, Lance. And I just want to say, mwah, mwah, mwah. I'm going to be watching the rest of the show.
Oh, isn't that sweet? It's so sweet. Now, Paul, I do have some good news and bad news. The good news is that Lynn Stewart got her COVID vaccination yesterday.
Yeah, I talked to her this morning.
So you probably know that the bad news is that she had a little reaction. Yeah. So if anyone out there, if you want to just send great get well comments in the chat, please do so, because Lynn will read them afterwards, after her nap, because, I mean, we don't know how each of us are going to react. And she wanted to be here, but it was so great that she sent the video as being one of the original people from the TV show. Now, Paul, you brought onto the show one of the originals from the actual Groundlin show, and that was John Moody, and he has a little video message for you.
So I got a call on the phone, and I picked it up, and there was this British woman speaking to me, sounded like somebody from PBS, and said something like, "Yes, may I please speak to Mr. John Moody?" So right away I said, "Hi, Paul, what's up?" And Paul told me that we're taking the show to Broadway, and I was really excited because I never thought I'd ever go to Broadway. So the show was probably one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I was backstage with Lynn every night, and we were like pinching ourselves, and I go, whoever thought a couple of old carnies like us would end up on Broadway? But the run was terrific. We partied every night. We made our own nightclub in the dressing room that they kept trying to close down. And I just couldn't have been happier about the run. And I just want to thank Paul for even, thinking of asking me. And I'll never forget it.
Oh my goodness. So those are like two people who we know, like, how it affected them to be on Broadway. I would love to know, like, when did you finally get the call that you were going to be taking the show to Broadway?
Now, you know what? I'm confused hearing both of those people, and I want to just check with you because you would know this, and I can't for anything. So I thought that we knew we were going to Broadway the whole time. Like, I thought that the Broadway run was kind of set up when we did the show in Los Angeles. Is that not right?
Maybe you knew, but the rest of us didn't know. I think they told Reubens.
I weighed out whether to say any of what I'm about to say.
I
think some of this is going to be, and this is all it's just ironic because I'm on Broadway's Calling, and I have to just be honest and say, like, Broadway just was so over my head. I mean, it was just so kind of like everybody that I knew, all my friends were like, "Oh my God, you're an actor and you're on Broadway." I mean, this is pinnacle. And for me, it was like, I just was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, it seemed like, well, I mean, that it wasn't my Broadway debut, right? You know that. I'm in the original cast of South Pacific and The Sound of Music.
Yes.
No, it was my debut.
Climbing every mountain.
I'm 14. This is so awful to say, and I apologize to every single actor. If any actors are watching this, and Broadway is, I know Broadway is the top, the top thing, but for me, I was really doing the show. This is so crass and horrible to say, but this is really the truth. I was doing the show because I wanted to try to get a movie deal. I wanted to try to make another Pee-wee movie. And so the way that I got the first Pee-wee movie was to sort of just do something on my own, which turned out to be producing the Pee-wee Herman show at the Groundlings, which then turned into, we moved it from the Groundlings to a theater in Los Angeles. And then it was filmed for HBO and was kind of the beginning or the early part of my career. So when I got a movie deal, I mean, not a full-on movie deal, but Judd Apatow saw the production in Los Angeles and had to his office, and we discussed making a Pee-wee movie, and it sort of looked like that's what was going to happen. And this is the pathetically sad, horrifying part, but I immediately made a few phone calls and went like, Judd wants to make a Pee-wee movie. Like, I don't have to go to New York now, right? And my manager and the people that I was working with at the time were like, no, of course you have to go to New York. You're going to New York. You're going to Broadway.
Right.
So I was ready to not even do it. And then two things I want to make sure I remember. I know that you're going to say one of these stories, so I'm going to like ease us into it. But the other thing I wanted to say is that the clips you're showing of the Broadway version of for HBO was directed and produced by a man named Marty Callner, who directed and produced the original version 30 years before. I mean, I don't know if that's a record or if that's how often that happens, but we were, you know, for John Moody, for Lynn Stewart and me, John Paragon played John Moody. We were standing out on stage on Broadway and in Los Angeles, and we were saying dialogue that we had said in the original version of the show 30 years before.
Right.
It was just so unreal. Like we just really were like, wow, this is so odd, you know? And so that show, you know, certainly inspired and had a lot to do with the original Pee-wee's Playhouse on CBS. The original stage show was in 1981. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was in 1985. And in 1986, I came to New York and we made the first season of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Right.
We basically, when we made, ooh, what was that?
I don't know. It's an alien.
Oh, we made Pee-wee's Playhouse, and when I decided it would be fun to reboot the original stage show, we had made 5 seasons of Pee-wee's Playhouse, and so the King of Cartoons, for example, didn't exist in the first original show. Fairy wasn't a character in the first show. There were puppets and live action characters that weren't in the original show. And then, you know, Phil Hartman was so integral to the plot, Captain Carl, the original show. And since he had passed away, it felt just weird to recast Captain Carl. I couldn't, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. So in the reality of Pee-wee's Playhouse, when Phil got Saturday Night Live and had to leave to go do Saturday Night Live, Lawrence Fishburne, who was Cowboy Curtis already, he was in the original season along with Phil, but we gave a lot of what was going to be were already scripts that were already written for Captain Carl, we rewrote for Cowboy Curtis. And so when I decided we were gonna reboot the show, I just made a decision that it was going to be Cowboy Curtis and he would step into this, and it worked perfectly to me. And then Phil LaMarr was in the Groundlings. We didn't know each other at the same time, but we were in a show at the Groundlings together. And he was just so fantastic. I just liked him so much that he agreed to be a Cowboy Curtis and carry on that tradition.
Which is fantastic. I mean, it's been a lot about tradition. It's like you were talking about the King of Cartoons came in, and you know, you had Gilbert Lewis and then William Marshall, and then I got to follow in those footsteps, which I thank you for that. And also Phil LaMarr, who, ladies and gentlemen, you will know him, of course, as a UBS guy, a Mad TV, and the voice of the Green Lantern, part of the Justice League and everything, Futurama. I mean, he's on so many voices. Between Paul, Phil, and Josh Meyers, I think all the voices are taken care of, you know, in voiceover and in America. But I wanted to ask you, like, Paul, you said that you didn't want to come to Broadway at first, but there seems like not only a sense of legitimizing the piece, but also you got to update the piece. So it wasn't just the original show from the 80s. You got to bring it in to this new century, which
yeah,
don't you think really that was a great opportunity? It
was incredible to get to rewrite it. I rewrote it with several people. There's a bunch of writing credits on it. Josh Meyers helped me write it. The original director and writer, one of the co-writers and directors of the original show, Bill
Steinkeller, yeah,
been writing it. A guy that I was working with, gosh, there were so many people. Oh man, now I'm blanking out on a couple people's names. John, John, I hope you're not watching. So
Well, then, if John is watching, he can type his name in the chat and then help us out.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Well, there's so many people that you have to remember. I mean, just when we were doing the show, just the amount of stars who came in, I don't know how you could remember them all, but they all seem to end up in our dressing room, which somehow was named after Missy Vaughan's Bumpit. It was the Bumpit Lounge, and that's where all the stars came. I mean,
you have to tell the story. Me of the Bumpit Lounge. Like, somebody has to explain what that really
Okay, well, first off, let me just show a picture. It was during Christmas that it was in its full glory, and you'll see Missy Vaughan in front of our beautiful corrugated fireplace.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that is a great picture.
I love that picture so much. And Paul actually sent away and ordered the corrugated fireplace for us, which I love that you really understand, like the 50s and the 60s kitsch, and how it just really makes us all feel warm and remember aunts and grandparents and everything. But we one time had 35 people in our dressing room one night, and I'm telling you, I can't remember. Oh yeah, there's some of the people, like from Lily Tomlin,
wow.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, Lawrence Fishburne, and that was Jay-Z and Kanye in their Pee-wee garb. Actually, I mean, it just was fantastic. Do you remember when David Bowie and Iman came?
Oh, I was going to say the two biggest stars in my mind that came to the show was David Bowie and Prince.
And Prince, yes.
Like, whoa. But I mean, also, do you remember that Lou Reed came with Salman Rushdie?
Yes.
The two of them. That was an incredible couple.
Like, how do they even know each other?
What's his name? Oh gosh, man, I'm terrible with names.
Of course, David Arquette and Courtney Cox came.
Home Alone.
Huh?
Home Alone.
Oh, Macaulay Culkin, of course.
Macaulay Culkin. That was pretty amazing.
Yes, and of course Neil Patrick Harris came. I mean, we're just so many stars. It was fantastic. I mean, the Playhouse was alive.
Paul Simon came. Art Garfunkel came separately. The two of them were there.
Right?
That was incredible. Oh gosh, Christopher Maloney came. It was that was incredibly exciting. And opening night, I didn't know this for many. I did not know this on opening night, but Susan Sarandon was in our audience on opening night.
I knew Alan Cummings was there.
Cummings,
which was amazing to see the two of you together. Because
I was going to say, proof we are not the same person.
Exactly, because I'm still not sure. I've seen the pictures, and I'm like, wait a minute, how are they doing that? But the coolest thing was, we talked about Lawrence Fishburne and a lot of the stars, and even artists and music people, directors, makeup people, who all got their start on the Pee-wee Herman show. And we had two people already on Broadway's Calling who got their start, one in the Broadway show, but one in the original television show. And the first person is Gotham's Drew Powell, who played Dancing Bear, and Esapatha Murkerson, who, I mean, in a month where we're celebrating women's history, she is the longest running African-American to be in a drama on television when she was on Law & Order. She's now on Chicago Med, but Law & Order, I think she was 17 seasons on Law & Order. And I don't know
if you're watching, I think it's 19 seasons. I could be wrong.
Whoa.
I don't know.
Would be amazing. Would be amazing. Either way, she is part of history. And she does say, when she was on the show, she did thank you because you gave her first television job on
so many people. It's so fun to think about people auditioning and being an actor myself and having been to so many auditions. It's just incredible when somebody comes in and just nails it. So, I mean, you, for one, you nailed it. I mean,
thank you.
you nailed it. I'll never forget going like, okay, King, there he is, right there. Josh Meyers,
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, I remember the day that we did the casting for the firefighter, and Josh was the first person who came in, and I thought, wow, God, if everybody is this good, wow, this is gonna be really hard. And then nobody was that good after him. Yeah, Phil LaMarr, I already knew Phil was going to be phenomenal.
Right.
I just have to digress for 1 second. I do want to come back to the Bumpit Lounge. I want to come back with how you almost didn't come to Broadway.
Oh.
I talk for a minute about your 100,000 performances of Aladdin. I came and saw you.
Yes, that was exciting.
I came and saw you in Aladdin at Disneyland, which you were doing like 40 times a day or something like that.
At least.
That was incredible. But I wanted to also say that Epatha came in New York and just, wow, there she is, Reba, you know, I mean, that was incredible. Epatha and I are about to work together again. I'm rapidly becoming the king of game shows now.
Yeah.
About to go to.
Wait, is this the scoop? This is one of the scoops.
Well, maybe it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have told this. I'm about to next month do Celebrity Family Feud.
All right now.
So another call like that, I was like, okay. I mean, how do you say no to Celebrity Family Feud? Steve Harvey. I love Steve Harvey. I love that show. Wheel of Fortune, I was a little afraid I wasn't going to know how to do it on, that I would be thrown on TV.
Right.
Hard to do on TV.
And it nailed it.
But I was just lucky. Like everybody was way dumber than me on it. Not really. I'm sorry, Joel. I didn't mean it. But Celebrity Family Feud, listen to my team. My team on Celebrity Feud is Epatha Merkerson, Jackie.
Ooh, Mary. I love her.
Me too. And I'll just say really quick, I know Jackie because when I first saw 227, which for those of you young people and don't know what 227 is, 227 was the Marla Gibbs spinoff show from the Jeffersons. And she was the breakout star from that show.
Yeah.
Jackie. And when I saw that character, I still to this day, I feel like no one's ever been, lots of people are as funny as that, but no one's been funnier than that. That's a classic,
great character.
Phenomenal character. And that you just did her.
Yeah.
I write with somebody who I wrote the last Pee-wee movie with, a guy named Paul Rust, who does an incredible impression of Jackie. I hope she's watching because I don't know that she knows any of this, and this will save me telling it to her. But I loved that character so much that I had my manager call the show and go, is there any way Pee-wee Herman could be on that show? And they wrote me an episode of 227, and I got to know Jackie, and we've known each other ever since. So Epatha Merkerson, Jackie, Joe Manganiello, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Wow.
My team. And we're going to be playing against a very close friend of mine, one of my closest friends, David Arquette, who now has a very great, interesting wrestling career. And David has a whole wrestling team put together, mostly AEW wrestlers. So
and you guys are going to play opposite each other.
We're going to play. I'm playing David's team of wrestlers and my team of, great movie and television personalities. So
wow,
I'm super excited. I think we're going to absolutely annihilate that.
I think so too. I think so too. Well, now you have to.
It's also for charity, so it's super exciting. I'm very excited. I don't know when it'll air, but we're filming at the end of next month.
Oh, well, that's great, and I hope that people are donating to the charity. It's this month. We're in March already.
Oh my God.
We're in
Yeah.
March. Yeah,
Yes, it's in March. It's this month.
you're about to go. So
In fact, it's right now. I've got to go, Lance.
I gotta go. Well, I just wanted to remind people that we are still accepting donations for Feeding America through the Venmo and the PayPal. But Paul, I know you want to get back to the Bumpit Lounge, but I wanted to ask you, just as a Black actor, and we're in this, Black Lives Matter, sort of came up, and I just think about the diverse casting and how inclusive your show has been. And we're not talking about the Broadway show even 10 years ago. We're talking 40 years ago. I mean, we're talking, Epatha and William Marshall and Lawrence Fishburne and the guy who played Tito and Jesse Garcia. It's like your casting, your world, the Pee-wee universe has always been inclusive and diverse. And I wanted to know, like, what inspired you to look outside of what was the norm on television and in the theater to go, hey, we got to have all different types of people. What was the inspiration for that?
My upbringing, I grew up in Florida. We lived in Oneonta, New York, and then we moved when I was in 4th grade to Sarasota, Florida, which was the winter headquarters of the Ringling Circus.
Right. Okay.
There were lots of wild, very colorful people around Sarasota. And I grew up prior to that in Oneonta in just the opposite of a diverse situation. Like I've never seen anybody who wasn't a white person before. Like the only ethnic food that was in Oneonta, New York, when I grew up as a kid was Italian food. And so when we moved to Florida, we moved during Florida was still segregated when I moved there as a kid. So my parents, I was so lucky that my parents explained so many things to us and pointed out the inequity of it all. And so, to go to the beach and see a sign in the sand with an arrow that said colored pointed, one way was just weird, like the bathroom said men, women, colored.
Wow.
It was really not even that long ago. I'm only 45.
So the water at the beach, when the colored people went into that water, that didn't go over to where the non-colored people were swimming? Is that how that worked? Water only stays on one side?
Oh, no. Yeah.
I mean, that's how ridiculous. I mean, come on, people.
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, I'm sure that there were people at that time who were like, well, I'm not getting in the water. I'm not getting in the water because it's too close.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they didn't have two oceans there. So
right, exactly. What is that?
At any rate, I also mixed that with the idea that I was doing a kid show. And so I grew up with so many kid shows, and I was so obsessed with children's shows that and it was such a world to me. And I feel like I learned so many things from children's programming on television that when I got to do it myself, I took it extremely seriously. And I felt like that if it was inclusive without being noted, that there was something to be said for that there was something that just subliminally said to kids, this is just normal. That's how it is, And so I took a lot of pride in that. I didn't have, an African American character, a Latin character,
right?
I didn't have that. I mean, I always brag, the king of the whole kingdom was an African American,
right?
And you were not the only Black man on the show,
right?
So it was, and we never. I mean, this is maybe the first time I've ever talked about it ever, because, and I don't really, I sort of it's interesting to talk about it really, but I never wanted to talk about it because I just felt why talk about it? It's
just want to make it real.
Now, since we are talking about it, I'll tell you, and this is a little sad, but I also, when we were doing the show, the television show, we had the most mixed crew. behind the camera also. It wasn't just in front of the camera. We at one time had almost an all black crew. And
Wow.
so people would come on the set and be like, what the hell is going on here? Wow, this is like really wild. And I had a PA who sat on a metal folding chair out in front of the soundstage in Hollywood when we moved to California, whose job mainly was to keep a kid from coming in, because I smoked cigarettes then.
Oh,
you could smoke inside, and I didn't want a kid to walk in and see Pee-wee smoking. So this man would always would check, make sure that kids didn't come in, or that he was like sort of security without being. He was a PA, and he would always say, "Mr. Reubens, did you read my script?" And I would always be like, "Oh my God, I haven't read. I just haven't had time to read it yet." Well, Lawrence Fishburne read his script. His script turned out to be Boys in the Hood.
Wow.
The PA was John Singleton.
Oh.
When we I'm getting emotional here just because I love John so much, but when we remastered the show a few years ago, and we made some little featurette documentary things about different facets of production. John came in and did an interview, and his interview is so interesting and so beautiful. It's even more than it was when he did it, because he's gone now. But he talks all about how when he was still in school, I believe, I think he was going to USC, and he said, I didn't realize that wasn't normal at all until I got on my second job. That was my first set I was ever on. And so it just seemed phenomenal to me, but not unusual. And when I got on my second set, I realized, wow, that was a really unusual situation. So I don't know. I'm very proud of what you got me to talk about. Really, I'm really proud of it, because I feel like it spoke to, in a very subliminal way, it spoke to kids in the way that I wanted it to speak to kids, to just be like, this is normal. This is the way things could be, should be, could and should be, So
I noticed a comment from Sass and Such, Elena, who said that you inspired her, and it was seeing all different types of characters on the show inspired her, and she's gone into show business. Oh, there she is. I know her because we were in Sister Act together, and she's a Broadway performer, Latina. And so it's like those kinds of things are so important, but it just intrigues me, when people make the decision to say, hey, let's just have like this great world, so that we can really hold the mirror up to nature, so people can be reflected, and it's not happening because of a movement. You did it because of your humanity. And I just, as a person of color, I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we got to talk about it, and we got to honor the great John Singleton, who just Boys in the Hood, one of my all-time.
Wow.
I love that movie so much.
I gotta tell you also that when we were doing Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas special, and we had
Little Richard, is that the one Little Richard was on? Oh my God! Shut up!
We had Little Richard, we had Whoopi Goldberg, we had Magic Johnson. We had like some really big African American stars on the show, and every one of them came in and was like, "Mr. Marshall, oh my God, it's such." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I didn't know anything about William Marshall.
You didn't know? Oh God, he's a great Shakespeare.
William Marshall was Blackula. Like, yes. that escaped me. When he came in, he nailed it. I just loved him in the audition and thought, like, he's the king. And I didn't even know he was a Shakespearean actor.
Oh, so yeah.
He did Shakespeare in one episode of the show. As soon as we found that out, we wrote him a little thing where the lights, changed, and he like did a soliloquy, and it was incredible. But I'll never ever forget Whoopi Goldberg coming in and going like, "Oh my God, it's And I was just like, wow, what is, that's when I realized who he was and
Yeah.
what he meant to other Black actors. I just
Hmm.
thought like, wow, this is so cool.
Absolutely. And he
And
was,
he-
I mean, he was
oh
a
my God.
phenomenal king. In fact, wait, I think, I have John Tracy Egan, who was also in Sister Act with me, his King of Cartoons doll, which is William Marshall.
Oh, William.
I mean, there he is right there. And it's like I had this frame because I thought that was such a great thing that John had given me. I mean, I've seen the Pee-wee Herman one on eBay. It's too expensive for me, but I've seen it. But I had not seen the King of Cartoons, and John had that and gave that to me. It was great. But when you got all the people together, which my favorite part of the show when we did it live on Broadway, and even when I watched it all those years ago, was the secret word. I don't know why that makes me so happy. I mean, I almost wanted to have a secret word here, but we probably would have had to make it Broadway, and it would have ended up being a drinking game. And then, by the time we go off, everyone just would have to go to a program or something.
About the show. Are we going to run out of time soon?
No, because I can do it as long as I want. But we are going to show a little of the secret word. So those of you who remember it, I just want to just show you that and show how exciting it was to do it live with everybody in the same room. Here we go. What's really, really fun is when you just show me cool things. One time when I was out in California and you said, oh, there's this phenomenal album with James Brown. It was the James Brown Divas. Do you remember showing that?
Funky
and
Divas.
The Funky Divas.
Funky Divas. Yeah, that I've turned quite a few people onto that album. I can't remember who told me about it, but it's all of his opening act.
Yes.
With the James Brown band. This is the second time James Brown, I've thought of James Brown today. When you showed that pen at the beginning of the show, I thought about James Brown because when I was in, I had a very, very brief part in the Blues Brothers movie. And when I was in the Blues Brothers movie, I had to have John Landis just accidentally saw my dailies from the first Cheech and Chong movie I was in. And I got a call to ask if I would do a very small walk-on part in the Blues Brothers. So I had to go and meet John Landis and have him sign off on me in person. And I went to the casting office at Universal. And when I walked into the office, everyone in the office was freaking out. They were all like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, what just happened? I could tell something just happened. And people were shaking and holding this pen. Everyone had a pen in their hand. And it was this really cruddy, if you've ever seen the pen that UPS uses, it looks just like the UPS men's pen.
Oh, okay.
It's like a 15 or 29-cent brown plastic pen. A little, you push the thing and the ink part comes out. Really, really cheap pen. Everybody was holding this brown pen that had gold writing on it that said James Brown on it.
Wow.
And James Brown had literally just I walked in one door and James Brown had walked out at the other end of the trailer I was in. And he had handed, before he left, every single person a pen. And they were all just freaking out. And I've seen, every time I see a ballpoint pen, I think of James Brown. And I wrote a Western where the main character gives everybody pens. A pen.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I love that. Well, you share so many cool things with me. But just today you shared one of the most adorable pictures. And that picture is the first Broadway's Calling to Paul Reubens. And we have to share it with everyone here. There's Paul Reubens.
Look at that record player in the background there, by the way.
Oh my goodness. I just love that. I love that so much. Before we don't want to run out of time, and we do have a couple of surprises. to come onto the show, but I want to show everyone a little of one of the alumni from Mad TV who happened to be our Fireman Phineas. And you also know him from that 70s show, Josh Meyers.
Hi, I'm Josh Meyers from the Pee-wee Herman Show on Broadway, where I played firefighter Phineas and provided the voices for Conky, Clocky, Randy, ShamWow, and one of the fish. I think that's it. I don't remember exactly where I was when I got the call that I was going to Broadway, but I know that living in Los Angeles, I was very concerned about what to do with my dog. So I drove cross country with my dog Pickles, which gave me just these amazing memories to stack on top of all the Broadway memories that I made. So thanks, Broadway.
Man, I just now and Josh played a big part in one of the most outrageous scenes in the show on Broadway when you attempt to make some onion.
I feel, I always love watching award shows when they show clips and they come back from the clip or they cut to the actors watching themselves on the
right.
And then they're like mouthing the things and like loving themselves. And I just found myself doing the same thing. I was watching clip going like, this is so good. I love this so much.
I do the same thing even when I was going through all the clips of the show. I was mouthing all of your lines, Josh's lines, Terry's lines, all the people. This Viva says, oh, you have to love this. Oh, beautiful. Of course, I need my glasses for that one. Brings me so much joy. Why am I crying? Well, because there's onions. That's why you're crying.
Well, Deep Fat Fryer. And when we came up with Deep Fat Fryer, there were so many jokes that wrote themselves,
Oh, I know. Deep Fat Fryer. I love how you said that. Our Broadway Bites, Andrea Boyer, she's going to help you make onion rings the safe way. So she has Andrea, are you here to help us? Are you around? There's Andrea. Andrea makes all of our great dishes, and Pee-wee Herman loves all kinds of food. In fact, today is National Cereal Day, and I wish we had Mr. T cereal, and we can all just be pouring it all over the place. But Andrea, don't you have a safer version for onion rings? So if anyone wanted to make the Pee-wee Herman onion rings, they can make them. Yes.
Yes, a very safe version. Maybe. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Well, I guess we'll have to see to find out. Let's see, Julie.
That made me hungry.
I know they look so good, and I understand if there are any issues on YouTube. I hear people have been bumped off the show, streaming with their platform. You can switch over to Facebook Live because we're also over there. So you can help us, and you can just text or put it on the Broadway's Calling feed or put it on your Instagram and say, y'all, come on over to Facebook Live, because we are live on Facebook as well as youtube.com. So we're everywhere. So you can have a lot of good times and laughs and hear more of these great stories with Paul Reubens, who has shared great stories about past stars who've been on the show. And of course, the current cast that is on the HBO Max currently. You can watch that because, we want you to watch it because I could use a quarter. I love when them checks still come in. And it's still so much fun, and it holds up. And like Paul was saying, you were just saying, it's like you're like just mouthing the words. I think everybody loves to mouth the words to that.
I was looking at it going like, wow, who wrote this?
Oh, I did. You did.
But we have to talk for 1 minute really quick about the Bumpit Lounge. I just want to, you showed a clip that explains Bumpits, what Bumpits are. Bumpits were like a real thing that I used to see the commercials for late at night and think like, gotta incorporate this somehow. It was basically like a thing you could put on your head instead of ratting your hair. Right. It just looked like you had ratted your hair. And I'm pretty sure that the story behind it, you might know a better version or a truer version, but my recollection of the version of how the Bumpit Lounge came to be is Josh Meyers was out drinking, having a drink after the show one night towards the very beginning of the run, and said, I just realized I'd rather be backstage in the dressing room drinking with you guys, talking to some other cast members, than anywhere else in the whole city. And everybody looked at each other and got a little twinkle in their eye. And I think that just coincidentally, the next day, somebody, maybe Josh, brought in a Christmas tree, and it got put in the men's dressing room, one of the two men's dressing rooms. And everybody from there, I think that night, you added a few more lights, turned the big fluorescent lights off, had a little music, had a couple of drinks, and the Bumpit Lounge was born. And by the time the show ended after 10 weeks, the Bumpit Lounge, I'm not making this up, got a liquor sponsor at the very end. There were the staff of the Sondheim Theater gave us security for a couple extra hours so that we didn't get kicked out.
Right.
And it got so popular that you eventually moved into the puppeteers room that was next door. So you had two rooms. And when people would come over to the show to visit and go, let's go have a drink, my friends would go, let's go have a drink after the show. And I'd be like, we have our own nightclub here. And they go, come on, where do you want to go? And I go, I'm not kidding. Come on. And we'd walk down the stairs. And when you would turn the corner to the hallway where the dressing rooms were, there'd be 10 or 15, 20 people standing in the hall. You could hear music blaring and you could see the lights coming out. And we had a full on, and people would call the theater all the time the last few weeks going like, how do you get into the Bumpit Lounge? And can you tell me what the hours are at the Bumpit Lounge? And we got mail. There were Christmas cards.
Yeah, we had Christmas cards.
The rest of the Bumpit Lounge. It was like, it became sort of legendary. It was, I thought it was really cool that happened.
See, and these are the things that happen on Broadway. Now, to clarify this story, ladies and gentlemen, a little later on in a couple of minutes, we are going to have Josh Meyers drop in, and he's going to clarify the story. But you had mentioned the Puppeteers, and they also were making their Broadway debut. And in fact, the number of people who were making their Broadway debut in the Pee-wee Herman show, all of us. All 18.
I thought it was all of us.
Yes, everyone was making their Broadway debut. But here is one of our puppeteers out of the 8, Haley Jenkins.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Haley Jenkins, and I puppeteered Ginger the Horse and the Flowers. And I found out that I was going to be puppeteering on Broadway when I was in Basil Twist's workshop in New York. And I was helping him put Conky together because I had put Conky together as part of my pre-show preset when I did the pre-Broadway run in LA. And I helped him put Conky together, and he said, all right, you want a job? And yes, I did.
Ha ha! There we go. And now she did the puppeteering. We also had someone who only did a voice, and that was the voice of Cherry. And that is our very, very dear friend, Lexi Friedel.
Hi there, my name is Lexi Friedel, and I played Cherry the Chair and the Magic Screen among some of the other female voices in the show. And when I got the call, I was sitting on my couch underneath my roommate's loft bed, and I remember screaming and then jumping up and hitting my head on the loft bed. I was very excited.
Well, you did something with Cherry, who was actually puppeteered by Chris DeVille, who did send in a video. He's in the middle of the desert. He just sent in a video right before we went to air. But you did something on stage that I don't think anyone has ever seen with a puppet. And that was Dance with the Chair. And we have a little of that very, very special Cherry video with Pee-wee and Cherry.
Oh, I love doing that every night.
Oh my goodness. Julie, our tech producer, wanted to know, how heavy was that bling costume that you were wearing?
Oh, it wasn't that heavy. It was a little heavy. I had this funny thing that I haven't thought about since we did the show that I didn't even think of it till you just said that. That that thing shed jewels all the time. And
yeah.
the jewels that would fall off of that thing, and they'd glue them on before every show. And when they would fall off, I would like just completely come out of character and be like, where did that, I'd follow where it fell, figure out a way to like get over there during the show at some point and pick it up and put it in my pocket. And I had like a jar backstage of all the fallen jewels.
Jewels.
And Alex Timbers, I think Alex and more than one person were like, Paul, stop. Like, we'll give you all the jewels you want. Like there's jars of those jewels backstage. Stop trying to find them on the stage when they fall off. But they were like trophies, they were just so. And I have that jar somewhere here.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a spectacular costume. And the only person I think who rivaled you with a great costume was Cowboy Curtis. And we have Phil LaMarr here to say a little hello.
Hi, I'm Phil LaMarr, and I played the part of Cowboy Curtis in the Pee-wee Herman Show on Broadway. Now, before I got the call, I got a call from Paul saying he wanted me to audition for the part of Cowboy Curtis. Got the part, we did the show, and while we were doing our run in Los Angeles in January of 2010, then we got the call. Paul told us that the show was going to move to New York and go to Broadway that fall, which was a dream come true on any number of levels. 1, Manhattan in the fall, and 2, making my Broadway debut in a show built around one of the most iconic characters in pop culture. Gotta love it.
What? Broadway's calling. Broadway's calling. Ladies and gentlemen, Broadway's calling. In the house, we have Fireman Phineas, Josh Meyers, and Cowboy Curtis, Phil LaMarr.
Hey, guys.
How are you guys? Happy reunion.
Oh, it's good to be back with you.
I mean, you're back on Broadway, boys. I love it. Well, it's been so fantastic. We've like talked about you, here and there. We didn't say too many bad things about you.
We've been here. I've been watching.
Oh, you've been watching. You've been watching. Well, but Paul was talking about the Bumpit Lounge, and Josh, maybe you can clarify that, like how that began. I mean, I know Seth had sent over the Heineken, but I think was it Caesar who got us the I don't know, was it the something nose, pig nose?
I think it all sort of started. It was Christmas in New York, and the
right
was upon us, and I had a little sublet where I was with my dog, and I wasn't going to sort of deck that all out.
Right.
Walking on one of those streets in New York where it's just like all weird electronics, like, interesting, cool lights and things. And to buy a lit up Christmas tree was like $40. And I was like, I'm going to just bring this to our dressing room. And it just we were sort of I don't think I'm knocking us, but we were kind of like a ragtag group. We weren't gonna get into like the post-Broadway hottest spot
club.
We were.
It costs a lot of money to drink in New York every night. Right?
And
it was an economic thing. It's just occurred to me that it partly was an economic thing also.
Right?
Yeah. I might have broken even. I didn't do better than breaking even.
And Phil had his whole family in New York, to pay for,
Yeah,
he had the kids there, which I'm sure, are the kids in high school now, Phil? Because they were.
Oh, beyond. Well, my daughter's in high school. My son is actually in New York. He's his sophomore year at NYU.
I don't need to hear that.
And he's got a much better apartment than I had.
Hey, well, it's the glamorous life of Broadway. But, when you have parents who work on Broadway, they take care of you. So.
I want to just say one thing really quick. I want to tell a story of how I really got to know. I think it's how I met Phil LaMarr, but also how I got to know Phil LaMarr. And I think since I'm guessing that you have a lot of actors watching your show, and I think that people would like to hear about this show that Phil and I did together. Oh, yeah. It was at the Groundlings, and I was one of the last people to join this show. A good friend of mine brought me to the opening night of a show called Beverly Winwood Presents the Actors Showcase. I saw the show, and I had the same reaction that every other actor who ever came to see the show after me had, which was to go backstage and beg to be in it. I got one of the very last slots in it, and what it was a fake actor showcase. Which I want that to just sink in for a second what that is, because it was so brilliant. I swear to God, it was. Tell me if I'm correct, but I think this was conceived by Tony Sepulveda at the Groundlings, and I think Jennifer Coolidge had something to do with the initial concept of it. I didn't know that. Maybe I'm wrong, Tony. If that's wrong, I'm sorry, but I was told that later. Maybe Jennifer told me that. There was a teacher who it was her workshop, and she came out at the beginning of the thing, and it was it was at the Groundlings, which is the 99 seat equity waiver theater, where you would see a real showcase. And she came out at the beginning, and she would say, welcome everybody. And she would act like it was a real showcase and that everyone in the audience were casting people and people in show business. And there were scenes from plays, and there'd be 2 people, 3 people, 4 people scenes from real plays, and everyone was terrible. The worst acting ever. And when I went backstage on the opening night and went I'll kill somebody to be in this show. I have to be in the show. The director said to me, you could be in the show, but you have to find bad acting that no one's doing already.
Wow.
And so Lynn Stewart, Missy Vaughan, and I went to Samuel French and started looking in alphabetical order at script. And we got to the B's, and all of a sudden I was pulling out little scripts, and I saw Butterflies Are Free. And I'm so old. I saw Butterflies Are Free on Broadway, and I'd seen the movie of Butterflies Are Free. If you don't know it,
nobody does.
I hate to say this, but it's not a very good play. And so I almost started shaking when I saw it, because I thought Butterflies Are Free. Oh my God. The character that I would be playing, the lead character in it, played on Broadway by Keir Dullea, who was star.
And Eddie Albert in the movie, right?
Eddie Albert in the movie. So he's blind, and I thought, oh my God, bad blind acting, oh my God, that's so great. And then I realized when I saw the show one more time, nobody was mouthing their partner's dialogue. And I thought, I'm going to mouth Lynn's dialogue. I'm somebody who, as an actor, I don't have that SNL problem of like cracking up and losing concentration. And I'm just never like that. I never crack up. But this is the only time in my entire career, every single performance, I would just be worried that I was going to lose it. And I did a couple of times. I just couldn't get through it. And LaMarr, Phil, you were in Death of a Salesman.
Right.
You did two things, right? You did Death of a Salesman. Did you do another show?
No. That was Jordan and I did Death of a Salesman.
Yeah. And it was so great. They were two ex-cons who had just gotten out and did Death of a Salesman. There was Jennifer Coolidge did Glass
Menagerie.
And she was the mom of the actress who was playing Laura got sick on stage and ran off. And a moment later,
her mother comes on as the understudy.
Voice came on and said her mother's going to come out and do it, and she had you could tell that she'd taught her all the lines.
Oh my goodness!
Wait, Paul, I have to add this other thing that Paul, because this whole thing was every bad acting choice you could possibly imagine come to life, one after another, all on stage. Wow. And the person who keeps turning his body so that he's never upstaged by the other person. And Paul, you did something that I thought was so brilliant. He's a bad actor, playing blind, but he has also written his lines on his hand.
Oh, man. So, wait, he can't see, but he's reading his hand?
Yes!
I would have to find a way. I forgot I did that. I didn't write all the dialogue, but there was a run where I had to say a lot of stuff. It was a list.
Right. So you're looking at your hand.
I would do it. My thing with the bad blind acting was just trying to find a way so that, this is impossible, where the audience wouldn't see the split second that you looked at something. And so I would just look really quick at my hand. And there was another moment like that where I dropped a cigarette. I dropped a cigarette on the stage, and then I was going like this to try to find it. And then I couldn't find it, and so I'd have to look really quick. And I always felt like the audience was so awesome because it was such a split-second subtle thing to do, and the audience would always laugh. I would always be backstage when Jennifer Coolidge was on, though, and the people would scream with laughter because she was so funny, and I would just be like, "Good for her! That's so good."
Good for her.
I'd be really, really jealous.
I know. It was a pretty amazing cast, but Jen was the only one who got entrance applause.
Oh my God.
This is a cast with, Paul and Lynn and Cheryl Hines, Melissa McCarthy, Rachel Harris, who else? Jim Rash, Nat Faxon.
Tim Bagley. Tim Bagley did a monologue on stage as a character that he had called the Captain. He had a yacht captain hat on, and his face was like he had a stroke. And he would be and he was in a wheelchair, and he was doing the blow out your candles, monologue, Tom from Glass Menagerie. And did he fall? He dropped the matches
yes. Right, because he's trying to light the candles, but he's only got one good arm.
He couldn't get it. He couldn't pick it up out of the wheelchair, and the teacher had to come out and pick them up. I swear to God, I've never seen anything so funny before or since in my entire life. And if you were an actor, there's no way. You spend your whole career trying so hard to be really great, to be really good as an actor. So to get to come out and be horrible is so much fun. And you could not be an actor and be in that show and not want.
I would have loved to have seen that. I would love, but what I would love for people to see, because between the three of you, I had mentioned there's so many voices in the three of you, and to get you up to speed to be on your next game show. Paul, I want to enlist my two buddies here, and people, they make fun of me. They go, "Oh, Lance Roberts, I love how you say Broadway's calling." So I would love to hear all the different voices that you have. I'll throw them out, and I want to hear your version of how you would say Broadway's Calling. And so I'll just start with Josh. Randy.
Hey, Broadway's calling.
Cowboy Curtis.
Hey there, partner. There's some sort of machine ringing over there. Think it's from Broadway.
Conky.
Broadway's calling.
Green Lantern.
The galaxy wants you to know that Broadway is calling you.
And I know that this, because all of the voices are in Paul's head, I just need to hear, John Paragon wasn't able to be here. I would love to hear a little Terry.
Oh, that's Josh. I can't.
Oh, Josh does Terry.
Josh does Terry.
Ooh, hello. It's Broadway calling.
Wow.
Okay, how would you do, Josh? What about, well, Fireman Phineas is easy.
Well, he's just it. Broadway's calling.
The fish.
Oh, everybody answer your phone. Broadway's calling. You gotta get lucky. You gotta get lucky with the fish sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't
I
remember.
love that. And finally, Pee-wee Herman.
Hey, Broadway's calling.
Yes!
Well, he's going to be using that on every show from here on, Paul.
Oh, I know. It's like I'm now fired. I'm officially fired. But that was so amazing. But I just wanted to people just get a test of what the talent is like in a taste of what the talent is like in the Pee-wee Herman show on Broadway. So if you haven't seen it, check it out on HBO Max, and you can see, of course.
Are you wrapping it up? Are we wrapping it up right now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, wait, whoa.
What?
I've got a whole bunch of more stuff I wanted to go through really slowly right now.
Act two.
Act
I
two.
want to just say really quickly, one reminisce that I forgot all about till right now is, do you remember the blizzard that we had in the middle of the show? When
December
it was
26th. Yeah.
And there was so much snow that like every show, I think we were the only show that played that night. Like, do you remember that? Like people were like, the audience will never come. People won't even be able to get here. And we had a full house. People like came and
because we had the same weather inside of our theater as there was outside because it was so cold. But we got
all the reviews of how cold it was.
But we got.
I really wanted it to be cold.
Yeah, we got used to it. It was like you said, Nathan Lane, he had his theater cold, so we had our theater cold as well. So
We had
I
to
know what you're
start
talking about. I was very comfortable. Those
people.
chaps keep a lot of the warmth.
Yeah, but we had to tell the coat check people to tell people like, you probably want your jacket.
Yes.
You don't want to leave them here with us because it's freezing in that theater.
It's freezing in our theater. That's how comedy is good if you keep it nice and chilly.
Nice and chilly.
But the blizzard that we had, we still were like sold out that night.
Yeah.
Weren't we?
Yeah, we had a full house of people, and I remember, and some people never even made it home in the cast and crew. There were people that couldn't you couldn't drive.
Wow.
You know, it was hard. Certain people, I remember there were stories about people helping other people to get back to their apartments after the show was over.
Or they had to stay inside the theater because a lot of our crew lived out on the island and they couldn't get out there.
I have one story that's so long I'd like to tell right now. Do a little bit of Aladdin for us from your show. I'm just kidding. No,
you will fetch me that lamp. Oh, come on. Jafar courses through my veins. I mean, he's always in there. I mean, I use it when I'm on the 405 or taking the
20-minute. It was like the 25-minute version of Aladdin, right? Or something like that. It was really short.
It was like almost 50 minutes. Yeah. It was zoomed by, but the movie is only 80 minutes long. People don't realize it's not that long.
If it's zoomed by. But
yeah.
I'm just saying.
The HBO version of this show is shorter than this episode of Broadway Calling.
Yes.
What's your point?
Well, we only have a 10-year reunion once. So
that's true.
You see what I'm saying? So we're here to celebrate, and there are tons of fans and lots of great news stories, and they're getting to see you guys. I'm getting to see you guys, which I haven't seen you guys in years. I've seen Paul, I think, twice in 10 years.
We'll see you in 10 more years, okay?
In 10 more years. Well, I hope you guys, either just come back to New York and hang out, or maybe come back to Broadway to do a new show, or, we can, Paul says, I don't think so. But we'll drag you back.
I regret it. I regret not staying longer than 10 weeks. We should have stayed longer than 10 weeks. That was a big, stupid mistake of mine. I was like, 10 weeks, that's it. I'm out of here. But we should have, I mean, who's to say we wouldn't still be there 10 years later?
Yes, exactly.
The longest
running revival ever. Well, Paul, you are, can we tell right now when the pandemic lifts and it gets a little safer? You were on tour with the anniversary of the Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then that had to be cut short. Now, will you resume that once we're able?
I am going to resume it, but it's not happening until this time next year, 2022.
Oh, excellent. So we'll get our tickets now, because it was already sold out before. So it's like, we'll have to get our tickets now. Yes. That's what happens. Now, you guys are welcome to hang around, but I'm getting so many requests because the main thing people love to see is the tequila dance.
Oh, and let me do it 100 times right now. No.
Right? So it's like we'll hang out in the virtual green room, and then we'll wrap up there. But I definitely want to show there's a video, and also give a shout out, because people were asking what happened to Tito. Well, he turned into Sergio in the form of Jesse Garcia, and we have a great video to show Jesse and Pee-wee doing the tequila dance.
Oh.
Then it was like, if we didn't show that, I mean, they were going to take us off the internets, the interwebs.
Jesse, hi, Jesse.
Yes, hello, Jesse, out in California. And we want to send our good wishes to Lynn also, as she recuperates today. I guess, some of us will all go through that if we're lucky. But I do want to just wrap it up and ask you guys just about that final Broadway experience, about at the stage door. We had so many fans at the stage door. And I know, Paul, you would come out there still in the Pee-wee full.
We did another whole show practically after this.
Yes, you went out there
30 minutes.
So, because Phil and Josh as well, you guys work in TV and film all the time, and you don't get to walk out the stage door. What was that like, each of you? We'll start with Phil, that experience, dealing with the fans like that.
Well, it was so unique because I'd never done it. I'd been doing 99-seat theater in LA. There's no stage doors. Stage door is like the bathroom out by the, trash dumpster. Mm-hmm. But Paul, the way you set it up, because you knew that people wanted to be at that stage door and wanted to see Pee-wee. So it was nicely organized. And I still to this day have people come up to me. It's like, I actually met you once after the show at the Pee-wee Herman show. And I think a couple of years after that, I started doing convention appearances at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. And that stage door experience was basically my warm up for convention. Right. That's what it was like. It's basically, you as a performer getting your applause one person at a time. Mm-hmm. Thank you. As opposed to the entire audience all clapping.
Yeah. And what about you, Josh?
And the idea that they're online, because people knew after the first couple of performances, the audience really knew.
Right.
Go to the stage door. There's like a post show stage door. I don't have to tell this to you. I feel like I'm telling this. I forgot you were in the show.
Yeah, but it's just like I think that when a lot of people ask me about the stage door experience and they say, "Oh my God, I met Phil, I met Josh, I met Missy Vaughan, I met Pee-wee Herman at the stage door," I wanted to know what it was like for you guys, because it is not a normal thing, working in TV and film to actually really engage with your audiences. We engage here on the internet, but it's still, there's nothing like that stage door. Don't you agree, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly had nights where I would go out, particularly to watch Paul talk to the audience, because they were there, for that, and that was sort of a second show. But I also I had responsibilities in the Bumpit Lounge. I had drinks. I was DJing. If you were still there when I left the building, I mean, good on you. But
die hard.
Yeah, I'd have to get Lynn Marie Stewart in a car because she didn't know how to get back to her apartment. She lived in a neighborhood I've never heard of before or since in New York City. So yeah, but I will say also, I've never been a big fan of Times Square. It's just a bit too much for me. I like that TKTS booth, I will say.
Yeah.
But I tried to make a point of going, taking the A, C, or E up on the west side so that I could walk through Times Square on the way to do a show. That was really special to me. And I'd always take a minute to sort of stand in the middle of that square and look around and be surrounded by all of it. And then to know that I was on my way to the Sondheim to do a show, for a lot of those people. And I had so much fun performing, as much fun or more fun than the people that came to see that show. And it was really reflected in when that stage opens up and people just scream, you were part of something that was really emotional, Paul's. I was emotional at the beginning of this show, just watching that video back again, and I will always be able to watch the beginning of that HBO show, and it will always make me emotional, and I'm very grateful for it. It was really special.
It really, really was. And so, Paul, to wrap it up, and you have 17 seconds. You will be played off. No, just never. But really, to all the people, and we had over 7,000 people who were just liking the post, that they knew about the show, and they're very excited. And I've been trying to keep up with the comments. I probably won't read them until after the show. But
read them all right now.
Huh?
Read them all right now.
Read them all right now. But I mean, it's but you're here, and it's because this is a time with the pandemic, we can't really connect with fans and audience members, but we do have people here right now. And what would you love to say to them?
I guess what I would say is, I said this on my tour, and I would sort of close my tour every night by saying, this is going to get really corny here. But I feel I am really corny, and I feel like that's what people like about me. And I'm not afraid to feel emotional. I'm not afraid to be corny. I feel what I loved so much about the original stage show, about the television show that evolved out of that, about having a career to be inspiring to kids and show kids all kinds of things, and to have had the incredible honor to take all that and take it to New York and be on the stage and Broadway and go out every night after the show in the snow and see all the people freezing cold, waiting to talk and be and get to be funny all the time. It's just I just want people to know that it's that's all the time we have. I'm so no, I have to say that in seriously, it's so meaningful to me. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly. I take it real seriously. and it has real impact and real meaning to me. And I meet people all the time who go like, you must hear this all the time. And then they give me some kind of beautiful compliment. And I feel like, wow, you know, I don't know who you think I am that I would like get tired of hearing something like of having somebody look me in the eye and going, you moved me, you changed me, you meant something to me, you affected me. I mean, it's such I want to say a swear word here, but I'm not going to. It's such an honor. It's just so like incredible. You know, part of that show is me being the luckiest boy in the world. And I really feel in so many ways like I am so lucky to have had and to continue to have the career I've had. I mean, I know some of it has to do with who I am and what I've made it be, but you know, I've just been in the right place at the right time, and I've been incredibly lucky. And I want to thank anybody who it's meant like, you know, anything to, and know that it really meant something to me and does mean something to me too.
Well, I feel like I'm a very lucky person to be with all of you.
You are
again. Damned lucky, and very lucky to have all of you watch us and help us celebrate our 10-year reunion from the Broadway show and the HBO, and we'll still until this episode will be on the youtube.com in perpetuity, so you can watch it. But we're only offering, you know, the pin and the pin if you do the $25 donation today, because I have to actually send them out this week because we have other people from the Actors Fund who are expecting the ones that they donated for. So those are going out this week. So it's just today only while supply lasts. But I just want to say thank you for watching, and keep wearing your mask and social distancing so we can get together. And I think the Pee-wee Herman character was a little prescient because he and Cowboy Curtis had a song long before this whole pandemic about washing your hands. And so I'm just gonna leave you with that before we wrap up the evening. Thanks, fellas, and we'll see you in the virtual green room.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for
absolutely.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Bye, you guys.
Let the cartoons begin. Peace.